Alright, today is day 52. We're about to break down my day 52 page, I guess. Yeah, let's roll with that. See, this is page 35 in chapter 5. It's crazy, I've got 35 of these now done. God, I think I'm almost done with chapter 5. I don't know why I'm showing. Well, let it run. Um, yeah, it's crazy to me that I'm almost done with chapter 5 already. That would be like half of chapter 4 and then all of chapter 5 done so far in this challenge. I still got like 50 more days left. I think I only got like maybe less than 20 days left in this chapter. Well, 20 pages, not 20 days, which I guess for me that kind of goes hand in hand right now. As you can see, the beating is starting to commence on Dan. So needed to illustrate him getting slammed into a wall. That's pretty much what the three of these panels represent. If you can see the mouse, I hope that the pointer's showing up. So I started off blocking color in, which I eventually ended up changing the angle on this painting or picture, whatever the page that I'm doing. I changed the angle on it while I was working on it because I wasn't about to start shading and coloring in Dan horizontally, like not happening. So I flipped the image clockwise to work on Dan and then flipped it back counterclockwise to get the rest of it done. I'm sure we will cross that bridge in a little while. Also, a lot of weird editing that I had to do. I don't know why I had anti-alias on. I believe it was on. It was just picking up. You probably could see it here. It's like random specks of color just showing up out of place, and I had to go back and clean a lot of that up. I don't know why that was happening. So there were brief intermittent pauses where I had to keep like double taking. So that was pretty annoying in the outset, but eventually I got that straight when I realized what was going on. That also could explain why earlier in the week when I was doing certain paintings, I kept trying to use the fill tool and it was filling the entire image or the whole thing that I would have selected. I don't know why I'm pointing. You guys can't see what I'm doing unless trying to use an example. Like if I had all of this selected in here, if I hit the fill tool, it would, instead of me getting a particular spot that I wanted, it would just do everything. Kind of didn't understand why that was happening. So yeah, I don't know why anti-alias was on. I don't recall having it on before because I don't remember having this problem before, but got that squared away. Hopefully it stays off. And I remember to get the flames in on every character this time, all the way through putting my flat colors on. So it's a moral victory for the day. So skip ahead some, get the background in on Dan getting smashed to the wall, and we start the shading process. So this, I just needed the illustration of kind of movement, and I wanted to do it without necessarily using speed lines in this page. Though I still use a bit of a motion blur anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I just didn't want to be doing speed lines right here. So I just used the blur tool to try to show movement. Sort of here, I'm trying to shade in Barry. I don't know why it took me so many times dealing with his hair, but I went ahead and got his shading blocked in. Started on Dan, shaded him, and then I went ahead and started trying to create the motion blur. And quick stop there for some reason. Oh yeah, never mind. If this looks crazy, it's just because I'm trying to create a random shape to sort of just measure up to Raekwon, Jesus Christ, Dan's pose as he's being launched. I'm gonna end up erasing a good chunk of it anyway, so it kind of doesn't matter the extra parts from the side. I just needed the sort of whipping motion to go so you could understand what's happening. If I skip ahead some, you see me erase the pieces of the blur off of Dan some, so you can get a better idea of him being whipped across, and then came down here and started working on Raekwon. And before I did that, I continued the blur because from the previous panel, Dan should be blowing past Raekwon directly into the wall. So I just blocked in some color and stretched out the blur some. that didn't. It's a blur, so it wouldn't have been that big of an issue if it pixelated or not. And cleaned it up with the eraser tool to sort of once again show movement of Dan sort of flying past Raekwon before smacking against the wall. Then I went ahead and shaded Raekwon in. Had his highlights in the wrong place, so I ended up having to go back and fix that. I didn't notice it until I was trying to shade him, and I went, why does he look so odd? Just as you can see, yeah, my shading was all over the place as far as the colors were concerned. So I went back and cleaned that up. And I believe I had the wrong shade of brown for his highlights. Yep, I must have picked Dan's highlights again. I'm almost positive. I was sitting here staring like, why was that so bright? Yeah, so I used the wrong brown the last time too. So now everything looks as it's supposed to. Went ahead and shaded Raekwon's body in. Ooh, layer error. Wow, that was pretty much it. Very simple panel there. And then Dan face. That same expression again. So, which I think now is warranted. Assuming if you're slammed straight through a wall by a gigantic robot, it's not going to necessarily be a normal expression on your face when that ordeal is done. Which this page kind of took a little while longer than I initially thought. I keep mixing page to panel. This panel took longer than I thought. Considering I pretty much only just had the shade in Dan, it wasn't like there was anything crazy going on. The craziness was in the previous two panels with all the motion blurs and all that other nonsense. But this panel took forever for whatever reason. Pretty much once I had Raekwon. This is the second time I've called Dan Raekwon. Once I had Dan blocked in, I was pretty much done at that point. Like I said, everything else is just like onomatopoeia and text-based stuff, which I don't even think I have a lot of that in this page today. Oh, and I'm actually not finished. I did the little inside of the, I guess, crater in the wall that he's created. For lack of a better term, I don't know what to call that, but I guess a hole in the wall. So yeah, I'm shading the inside details of the hole he's in. And then after that, I believe I was finished. Yep, that was it. Poor Dan. Just can't catch a break. But in any event, little page for the day. It looks a lot more busy than it actually was, all things considered. I didn't really have to do much. Honestly, I just had to do a little bit of character shading, and then it was just a lot of blurring. The background detail wasn't really necessary for today's painting. I just needed to get across Dan being thrown and then colliding with the wall itself. And I feel like I got that done. So like and subscribe if you haven't. Really appreciate it. And you all have a good one. And I'm out.